Right then guys, something new and different. I wanted to take a look into the different softwares available for people. I didn't want to just make all the courses about WinOLS because it's not the only thing on the market, so it's not the only thing we've got to do really. So I would like to go into the different options we have available. Now, WinOLS, so obviously this software, it's what people call as the software for the pro tuners, things like that. It's really good software, but it's a really long learning curve. I would call it more of a software for development and to make maps from other maps that you've already made before. Okay, it's great for that. It's not so great if you've got on the dyno and you've got a car, it's an Audi, you've never seen one before, it's got DPF delete, EGR delete, you want tuning, things like that. Then this isn't always a software for you. As in, like if you haven't done one before, or if you haven't got nothing else to back up with it, it's not going to be great fun. Because the fact that when you load a map into WinOLS, it doesn't give you anything. Okay, you've just got the map. If I just open a map, random one, say Ford, I ain't got nothing for that. So say I've got this Ford, I've just read it, I've loaded it in. You're not really going to have anything useful that you can use. I mean, it's an EDC16, I could probably knock something up quite quick because I understand the ECU before I start. So it's obviously a bonus. So when it comes to doing the DPF and EGR delete, that's a little bit harder. I'll probably have to use another little software for that because it's, otherwise you're doing it yourself. If you haven't got like a Deimos file, then you're trying to delete something, good luck. Like, unless you understand the ECU because you've done one before, it's not going to be fun. Okay, so this is when people tend to look at other softwares. Now WinOLS, when you're buying WinOLS, while I'm on WinOLS still, on the EVC website you'll see obviously you've got WinOLS demo. WinOLS demo works great. You can load in files, you can look at them, you can have a play around with them, you can get an understanding of the software, you can even load in map packs and things like that, but you can't export. Okay, you can't then take a map out of WinOLS and load it to a car because it will not let you take that file out. Okay, now the newcomer version, it's obviously made for newcomers. It's taken away things like resellers options, the old export option, scripts, clients, things like that people would use as they get used to using the software. Okay, now you can upgrade later on from the newcomer version to the full version, but the newcomer version was kind of, to me, it was made back in the day before tools really got good with things like checksums, and you had to rely on WinOLS to do a lot of your checksums and things like that, and it was good to get you going, so you could go away and purchase the Deimos importer. You could do things like that. If I just show you the checksums, so I go to checksums, I'll show you what I mean by this. Okay, so checksum modules. Okay, so this is how WinOLS works. Okay, so it basically runs off a checksum points. So each checksum point is a 150 euros, okay, plus that. So you've got 150 euros that you can either spend on a different add-ons. Okay, so you've got checksum points. So it's the currency of WinOLS. So per 1 point is 150 euros. Okay, now to add things like let's see what we've got here. We've got a simulator. I use OLS 300, so I've already bought that. So that's 3 checksum points. So that'll be 150 euros times 3, obviously 450 euros plus VAT. Okay. Then you've got B-Flash Live connector, that's new. You've got encrypted hex VDS import. Oh, you've got some new things I haven't even seen before. Okay, that's interesting. Then you've also got, obviously, the things people are going to use the most are Deimos A2L importers. You've got a Tuner Pro importer, it's kind of a beta thing that started. You've got LUA for WinOLS, which is basically complicated scripts, which not everyone's going to be able to do. So again, you wouldn't really need it. You've got machine translation, which I really like, and I'm glad I bought it because it basically, if you load in a German Deimos, you can automatically translate that German Deimos into an English Deimos, which is obviously really handy for us that don't really speak much German. So I really like that. Helped me find things in the past. And all these here are checksums.
So you can purchase checksums, so WinOLS will do the checksum for you. But the problem with that is a lot of the newer ECUs with, say, CMD, KES and things like that, they like to do the checksum themselves. So if you make the checksum and then put it into CMD, it doesn't like it. Okay, you always let the tool do the checksum. So these are kind of gone a bit abundant, like you don't really use them anymore. So they're not so important. So when it comes to the newcomer version with obviously the extra 20 checksum points, which you can use to purchase plugins for your WinOLS, it's not really needed anymore. I mean, I could get away with four checksum points, 2 checksum points, 6. Because I do ME7 and things like that live, I would have to go and get the checks. I'd have to go and buy them too, of course, for the simulator. I'd have to get the simulator module. But even so, I would still have quite a few leftover checksum points. So I don't really need the newcomer. So for most people that are coming straight into this, it might be worthwhile to you just go straight to the full. Okay, just purchase the full. You won't need the checksum points. You can purchase the full and spend the money you've saved buying the full, because it's actually cheaper than the newcomer version, on checksum points to get you to where you want to be. Okay, it's not even that hard. You can even do it every time. Like, you can buy the DML6 importer and you translate first, and then see what else you're going to need afterwards, depending on what you use. Okay, it's quite easy to do. That's pretty much how I've grown. I just bought the full, and then we've just gone from there and just added the bits I need when I need it. So I've added a few of these checksums, but just pretty much because I wanted to use them for the emulator, not really because I needed them to write to the cars. I mean, I had that Bosch Med 17 was because at the time we couldn't checksum EEPROMs, so we needed obviously the plugin just to do the EEPROM file. I've never needed it. It's always the tools that I've done it. Okay. So that's pretty much WinOLS. So if you're looking to buy WinOLS, I'll probably edge towards the full version, just because the things that you're gonna want to upgrade to are in the full version, and anything else you can purchase yourself. You know, it's not really much hassle, not really that expensive with the money you save anyway. So I would, look into that. Okay, so that's WinOLS. Great tool, perfect for tuning. More on the edge of development over just tuning, unless you like building files and things like that. There's quite a few people who've used it to copy and paste files into files and things like that, which is fine, but that's what they use it for. So it's a really good hex editor. You've got extra options where you can put your account onto other people's accounts. So say like BC tuning files, you can see what they're selling through their reseller function with the ODX, which is brilliant for WinOLS. So if you're looking for a file that you've loaded in, WinOLS will help you find 100% match with another seller, and then you can go and purchase credits from them and have that file, which is really good. I think that's a really good, especially if you're doing development, because a lot of these files you can get a pretty good file from BC and just adjust it yourself to whatever you need it to do, as long as you understand the strategy of the ECU, which is of course where the courses come in and teach you that. Now, other options, you've got ECM Titanium. Okay, so that's this. I've got the full version here. Show you that. It's a pretty good tool to use. It's got a lot of bad stigma on it because it used to be really bad, but mainly because people were using the knockoff version. Okay, so they were buying it from China or wherever they're buying it from, loading it off some of these forums and they were using it from there. Now, nowadays, ECM is actually pretty good. File loader file that I've used before. I've looked pretty good with transits. RS3. I've looked at say 1.4 TFSI. So if I load that driver, normally when you open the file up, it'll tell you if you've got a driver or not. If not, I've got a full account. You can go into the data bank, which is really helpful. You can download original files from there. You can request map packs based on your file. Okay. And they're pretty informative now. It's like you've pretty much got everything you need there for a stage 1 tune on a TFSI, or TSI in this case 1.4. I've made maps using this just to see what I can make off the map, and they're normally pretty good. Like, they cover the majority of maps. There's been a few instances when I've looked at a map and I've realised that's not the actual map that I think it is. But to be fair, if you tell them, they'll change it. Okay, or there's been other cases where I've needed more maps, say with like a SimOS 18, they haven't given you enough maps to raise the boost above 1.6 bar. But I've known this due to WinOLS, so it's not too bad for me. But for other people who are learning, just be aware that's because it's a driver pack made for you. You're kind of reliant on the quality that they give you. Now, 9 times out of 10, the quality is all right, but stage 1 maybe anything more than that, unless you really understand the ECU and you can spot the maps you need, then it's not really going to do you any favors, okay? And just because it's laid out for you doesn't mean you're going to understand it, because I can spot maps that I know I'm not going to need, but I also can spot maps that I know I'm going to need because I know the strategy of the ECU, okay? So always be aware of these little things too. I mean, if looking at here, we've got air control, got engine load limiters. Now, you don't have to work in percentage on these ECUs. This obviously software's got a lot of stigma attached against it for people who just add percent, okay? You can change these to whatever you want. If I want all this here to be 250 or 250, I can have it at 250. So if I'm tuning this, I'm tuning, say, timing, I want to add a degree in a certain area, I can add a degree in a certain area. There's nothing telling me that I have to work in percentages, okay? So don't get into that stigma. Don't think that just because it is classed as a software people add percentages to, don't think that that's that's what you have to do, because you can do pretty much what you want. I mean, I quite like the 3D mode on this. It's quite good, I think. You know where you are. I can see where I am at different points, things like that. It comes in quite handy. It's got its advantages like any other software. But obviously the biggest advantage is that it gives you a driver, so you can see what's going on. So if I open a requested lambda, I can say, hang on, I'm at 1 TSI. They run lambda 1 unless they've CEGT, so I know I can just change these tables and off I go. For requested lambda, then they run in, there you go, they've got the EGT maps, they've got the correction maps, it's got correction by EGT maps, it's got pretty much everything you need for the fuel system. So you've got pretty much good. You've got limiter torque, so these are the LDR maps. If you want to know what they are, you can switch to 2D so you can see, hang on, these are the LDR maps. And then if you wanted to look at that in obviously WinOLS, you could jump to this position and you know what their maps are. You can make sure that you know what they are. But again, you are reliant on what obviously Alientech have said that they are. But you can see, and if you understand the maps, you can float around in ECM quite easy. I've used it a few times when I'm on the dyno. I've actually tested myself. I grabbed a Golf R, seen what I could make, and I got to 400 horse from obviously a 300 horse car. That's pretty impressive, just because I understand the strategy of the ECU. So I know I can bounce around the maps, but I couldn't go above obviously 1.6 bar. I had to go back into WinOLS to do that, just because the maps wasn't there. But there is other options for ECM where you can go and buy it. It's a driver builder, so you can have a driver builder and make your own drivers. I've never purchased it. I've never really gone that much into ECM. It's just been there as a fallback if there's something random that I need to find and I can't quite find it. It might be in here. They're pretty good for DSG maps too. They give you all the maps you kind of need for a stage 1. So it's not a bad tool to have in the box, but it does carry a lot of stigma, which I think is kind of wrong, because you can tune the car however you want to tune it. There's nothing saying that you've got to add the percentage in different areas. Right, the next one we have is SwiftTech. Now, annoyingly to me, SwiftTech doesn't work on Windows 10. I have Windows 10. Windows 7 stops supporting next month, I suppose you can say now. We're in December, yeah. So next month Windows 7 support stops. So I'm on Windows 10 naturally, but you can't run it on Windows 10. It stops halfway through. It's annoying until it's completely stable. You can't run it on Windows 10. So why run it on a virtual box? Okay, so let me just pop the little dongle in. You get a little dongle with SwiftTech, which is really handy. Okay, so I'll pop that in there. Let's pop the devices on. Open that up. Okay, so then we've got SwiftTech. Yes, let's wait for that to open up. Takes a while. Now if I show you the website for SwiftTech, so we'll go VCPowerteam. Pretty good tool to use. to be fair, for what you get, it's fairly cheap. It does plenty of stuff. Look on here, you got GPF, OPF removal. Some of these are on the full pack, some of these are on the standard pack. I've got the full pack, so I've got pretty much everything on this list. So you've got GPF and OPF removal for the new GPF vehicles. Burble activation mode. I've used it a few times. Works on some cars, works on others, but I quite like it, to be fair. It saves me time. Anything that saves me time is a bonus to me, because to me, we all sell time. So you've got popcorn activation mode for diesels. EVAP, exhaust flat, that's new. You've got exhaust flat removal module. Maps recognition module, so it just gives you maps as well, which actually works in some cases. Torque monitoring disabled, DPF, EGR, DT, fault code. Fault code is really handy. Just type it in, removes it if it's supported. So if you click on the boxes, you can see what they're supported. They cover a wide range of ECUs, and the majority they work really well on. Obviously, some of them they're not quite completed, but with feedback, we do complete them. So it's obviously always handy. They do always work with people. You do pay a subscription fee, which isn't too badly priced. I think for the full pack it's €900 a year. So for what you get with the updates, there's a lot of updates, so it's quite handy to have. Okay, so you've got maps recognition, DPF, EGR, fault code, AdBlue, Hot Start, IMO. Not used that one. Got other software for that. Readiness calibrations, obviously handy in some countries that have to have the readiness activated if they remove something. So if you remove the decat or something like that, and you've got the readiness, it tells it that the decat's in and the cat's in and it's fine, even though it's not. So that's quite a handy one for people with MOTs and things, or whatever you call them in other countries. So you've got flaps and swirl removals, TVA, sports display calibration module. Again, saves me time. I can do it manually, but anything that saves me time is quite a good thing. Cold start noise reductions, the new one. They've just started loading different maps in. It's quite a handy one. It's going to be handy in the future. Kick down deactivation module, start disable module, MAF removal module. Cover quite a lot of ECUs with that too. Speed limiter, VAS import, lambda, launch control. You get the gist. It covers a lot of stuff, like things like A2L Deimos import modules as standard. You have that on the standard pack. So that's really cool. They've got an online predefined maps database, so if you load in a file and it hasn't give you a defined map, like ECM does with the drivers, you can search their database and they might have one on there. You can purchase them, so every time you do your subs, you get checksum points. It works the same as WinOLS in that kind of sense. Plus, with the full pack for Swiftec, you get all the checksums that they offer, which again is quite a lot. You get quite a lot of checksums. You get all these as standard, which is obviously really handy for people who need to have the checksums. So that's quite handy. Store. So obviously these are your packs. You've got crate packs, so you can purchase map packs and things like that. They've got pretty good. Obviously they've got a good originals database too, fairly cheap. You've got obviously the full pack, standard pack, basic pack. I would probably tell anyone, if you're just starting out and you want to get a pack, I'd probably start with the standard pack, because you're going to get everything apart from a few of the options. What I did, I got the standard pack first, see if I liked it, and then upgraded to the full pack, which you can do. They do it really quick and it's quite cheap. It's like €1,500 to go between the two, which is pretty much the difference anyway. So you just basically pay the difference and you get the lot. So if you can even go from basic to full, basic to standard to full, you can do it how you want. It's quite good. I liked it. What else we got on here? That's pretty much it. If I show you the software, it's quite easy to use. See if I can open a project I've had before, which got maps in. Quite good for Siemens, sorry. Let's open that up. It does all automatic. Everything's done auto. The only thing I don't like about it is the export time. It takes a long time to export stuff because it goes through the same as I'll show you. So you can tune it in 2D. So I'm now in 2D. Pretty much the same as WinOLS. You've got all the maps available to you. You can tune it in 2D if you want. You can build maps. You can do what you like. Click map. It gives you a list of maps. So you have quite a lot of. It's quite good for this PCR 2.1. You get pretty much most of what you need. If not, you can go along and add them. Just click the map you want. You can see it in 2D, 3D. 3D is quite nice. Quite like that. You got 2D, so you can see where you are in 2D. Click on the maps you want, opens them up, just like WinOLS. You can change things how you want. So if I take that and I can add percent. You can +1, -1, change by edit, so you can type in what you want. All these kind of things you can copy to similar maps. So as normal, as difference or a percentage. Change the colours, all that kind of jazz. But what most people like, if you press save modified, yes. If you move on to the next stage of the export process, well, it takes a few minutes just to pick it up, so we'll wait for that. I think I've showed you everything you need to know on here. Like the original database, you've got modified, so they've started doing their own modified tunes as well. Don't know how good they are, so I can't really comment, but you can always try that out for yourself. Got pretty good. Type in Audi, do a search. So you can buy all these original files. You can search for them. Obviously, they've got a lot of original files on here, so it's quite a handy database. Naturally, any kind of original database is always going to be handy at some point in time. So that's pretty much. And ECM have also got the same with Alientech. You've got the data bank. So again, they've got quite a good database of files. So they're good to have the tools for those reasons. Now, one of the main advantages with SwiftTech, as most people know, is the removal side. So if I wanted to remove the DPF and EGR off this, I'll just literally click a box. So I'd say remove the EGR, remove the DPF, speed limiter, MAF removal, TVA, readiness. I can pick what I want. I'll leave one on. You can go to DTC removal, so press OK. Yep, you understand the car's going to blow up if you do this. Yeah, no problem. Carry on. So again, this is the export. This is the bit I don't quite like. I think they should add an option to skip this if you don't need to do it every single time. So of course, if you've written to the car with the DPF and EGR removal already, then you should be able to skip this little bit. It takes a while. I mean, it's not even started yet. But I am using a virtual box, which is obviously going to make it take a little bit longer. I've given it quite a lot of processing power, but it's still not quite as fast as when it's on your host PC, which I have at work. Naturally, I'm running a Windows 10 every day. I've got a Windows 7 at work, which I use for dyno tuning, so I don't batter this one. I've got a pile of laptops, probably as big as my smallest child, just because I'm always smashing them up, basically dropping them off cars, the usual. So I like to run 2 laptops. So just waiting for this to do now. You get the progress bar of the DPF. This is still exporting, so as you can imagine, you're adding to your time in the day, which is never a good idea when you're on the dyno. Time costs money. Let's just wait for this to finish, and I'll show you the fault code removal procedure. It's really easy. It's one of the biggest selling points of SwiftTech is the simple delete you can do. They do quite a lot of updates. It's really good. Now here, literally all I'd have to do is just type in what fault code I want to go rid of. So if I was, say, a cat, don't think it'll be on this one, but I'll just go generic or manufacturer. You can pick either. Remove DTC, and the software goes away and does that for you, which saves you time. Time is always good. So obviously nothing is removed because it's a diesel standard. So do you want to remove another DTC, so you can press yes and go back through it, or you can press no, and then it gets back through to the export process, which takes a long time. It's the only drawback in this software, especially if you're a dyno tuner. You don't really want to be doing that on every export, but that's how fast it is. And then you get your file where you want to save it. Save standard 8/16-bit. You can split them. You can do all sorts of stuff. So if I then shut that down, that's exported now. And there's the file right out to the car. Bob's your uncle. So that's quite a simple. It's a nice software. Works well with some cars, doesn't work so well with others, like any other software. Obviously, the main software is WinOLS for tuning and development, in my idea, and for storing files too. Like there's nothing faster exporting, like for Control E, boom, I'm out. You know, there's no waiting around. What I tend to do is I'll start a file in WinOLS. I'll load the original into SwiftTech, load the tune into SwiftTech where I am. Then I would do the deletes that I know I'm going to need on the car. Then once I've done the deletes, I'll write them to the car. Obviously, write them to the car, but I would also put that file and load it back into WinOLS. So then I've got the next file I'm going to work from. So I'll have the file with EGR, DPF, delete, and then I can start working on the tune. Because as I believe, like the tuning in WinOLS, you can't really beat it once you understand it. Why I've gone so deep into the courses with WinOLS at the moment, I'm still going to be touching base on other softwares too, but it's pretty much because of the speed. We sell time. If you've only got 8 to 9 hours a day when you can be on the dyno, if you want to be tuning the car for the 8 to 9 hours a day, you don't want to be waiting for something to export or waiting for some software to write to the car or whatever else. So the faster we can get at doing all these things, the more money we can make. So which is why we do this, right? So that is a little walkthrough on all the 3 softwares which are mainly used. There's other softwares out there which I'll go into. I mean, I've got ASAP2 demo, which is really good. It's good for doing Demos files and fixing any errors. I've got Canape, which is really good. It's OEM level software. I can go into that later on if you want. That's made by Vector, which is on the same kind of par as Inca at ETAS. So it's another really good software to use. Something we've recently invested in for the future cars, because I'll be able to do electric cars and things like that with ease with Vector. Whereas with WinOLS, I think it's going to get a little bit dated. Maybe, I don't know. They might pick up and go with that. With obviously they're helping people like BFlash and things like that. So it's quite interesting how it's obviously it's going to roll out. But at the minute, this is the software we use. WinOLS mainly. ECM's quite handy now. I won't really, tune cars how you want to tune cars. Don't have to tune them with percentage. Don't relate ECM with percentage changes. But you can relate it to whatever they give you in terms of a driver pack. You are quite reliant on that. But you can always open them on WinOLS and check things. And then you've got SwiftTech, which is really good at deletes and things like that. Not so great at tuning. It's good at choosing map packs on a lot of stuff, like CMOS 12 it's quite good for. I've noticed BMW MG1 is quite good for. But when it comes to export time, not quite my favoured, but there is ways of making all that faster. So hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know if you'd like to see anything else on any of the softwares I can show you apart from that. Thanks lads.